Hello, this is Jacqueline from Jack Knits, and today we're going to learn a very simple stitch called the moss stitch. It is used widely in knitting patterns because it's so simple, it's very pretty, and it's so versatile because it's complete reversible on one side to the other. Both sides look exactly the same, so you can use it in a number of different projects. Let's take a look at how to do this very simple moss stitch. I'll show you how to do it flat and in the round. All right, let's take a look at this moss stitch. You can see here from this swatch here I did with worsted weight yarn and with a size 7 needle. It makes for a really nice fabric. I also recently did this knitted basket with this moss stitch, so it really works nicely too with a very thick yarn. It can produce a very thick, dense fabric. Works really well for a sturdy basket or anything that you want to have some sturdiness to it as well. So let's get started with showing you how to do this very simple stitch. It only requires the knit and purl stitch. You're going to want to cast on a number of stitches that is divisible by 4, which I've already done here. I've casted on 20 stitches. So let's start with our very first row. It's a 4-row repeat. We're going to start with knitting 2, knit 2 stitches, and then we're going to purl 2 stitches. And that is the basic repeat all the way across the row. Knitting 2, knit, knit, and then purling 2. Purl, purl. So you would do that for your entire row number 1. Knitting 2 and purling 2. Okay, row 1 is complete, and row 2 is actually exactly the same as row 1, because what we're doing here is we're knitting and purling 2 by 2 for 2 rows, and then on the second 2 rows we are doing just the opposite. So here let's go with row number 2, which is going to be the same as the first row. So we're going to knit our knit stitches, purl our purl stitches. So we're going to still start with 2 knit stitches and go to 2 purl stitches, and that will be row number 2. So it's exactly the same as row number 1. Okay, we are done with row number 2. Now, rows 3 and 4, as I mentioned, is going to be just the opposite of rows 1 and 2. So we started out by knitting 2 and then purling 2 for rows 1 and 2. For the rows 3 and 4, we're going to just do the exact opposite. So we're going to start by purling 2. And then knitting 2. So we're going to knit our purl stitches now and purl our knit stitches. Purl 2 and knit 2. So just the opposite of row 2. Okay, now let's go to the final row of our 4-row repeat, and as you guessed, it's the same as row 3 because we're going to do 2 rows identical. So now again, we're going to start with 2 purl stitches, same as row 3, and then 2 knit stitches. Purl 2 and knit 2. All right, so that is our 4-row repeat. Again, we're just doing 2 by 2 knitting and purling, and then the second 2 rows just the opposite, starting with purling and then going to knitting. So it kind of gives us a little checkerboard type of look when you are done. So a very nice versatile stitch. Now, the great thing about the stitch as well is that it's the exact same stitch knitting it in the round. It follows the same principle, right? Where you're going to cast on divisible by 4 number of stitches. You're going to knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 on the first 2 rounds. Then the second or the third and fourth round, you are going to do just the opposite of what you did in rows 1 and 2. So starting with purling, then going to 2 knitting, 2 purl, 2 knitting for the next 2 rounds. So that's the other nice thing about the stitch, is the exact same sequence for knitting flat or knitting in the round. So I hope you try the stitch on several different projects. It makes beautiful blankets, shawls, scarves, hats, mittens, you name it, this stitch can be used for it. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you see, consider subscribing to my channel, Jack Knits. You'll receive tips and tutorials all about fun knitting stitches and fun knitting patterns. Thanks for watching. Happy knitting.